Hey everybody, welcome back to Kayfabe Critique. I'm David.
I'm Jason. What's up, y'all?
So we know we've been gone for a little bit. We had some stuff going on, personal lives as well as work. So we are back to give you a double dose tonight. We're going to first hit you with an episode of our favorite moments of the Attitude Era. We know we've started covering the Attitude Era and we had a lot of people interested in us keeping that going. So we're going to hit you with the favorite moments of the Attitude Era, and then to celebrate the 20th anniversary today, we will be covering Survivor Series 98, where The Rock won his first WWE title.
Happy anniversary, Rock!
So, first moment that we have on our list for the moments of the Attitude Era that we liked is one that I remember watching I kind of covered it before on our early shows that I had stopped watching wrestling for a long time. And I tuned in to see what was going on when they started announcing that Mike Tyson was going to be part of the show. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, comes this next moment. Vince McMahon calls out the baddest man on the planet at the time, and suddenly the glass breaks and he is face to face with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do you remember watching this moment?
I don't remember watching it live, but I remember hearing about it, and I remember seeing it on USA Today, because I was in college at the time when this happened, and I saw it on the cover of USA Today. I was like, Mike Tyson's in the WWF? Because at that time I was really more focused on Nitro, but I was starting to tune back into WWF because of the stuff that DX was doing, and then to see this, I was like, I wonder what they're gonna do with Mike.
Yeah, so I remember watching this moment. I was flipping through the channels on Christmas break when I saw them advertising WWF negotiating with Tyson. So I called a cousin who had been watching wrestling that whole time, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, they've been saying they're going to do something with him, but they haven't said what yet. And so I started tuning in, and so this moment comes along, and I remember watching it, being in my parents' living room, watching with one of my buddies, and I remember both of us were watching just to see what Tyson was going to do. And Austin comes in the ring, flips Tyson off, Tyson pushes Austin, and both of us just leaping off my parents' couch, like onto our feet, because it felt so real.
Yeah, and when you watch it, it does feel real, and just the fact that, and the way the crowd reacted to it, it was one of those, there's a reason why it's one of our favorite moments, because it's one of those moments you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and here in a couple weeks, we'll cover Mike Tyson's involvement in WWE up to WrestleMania 14 more fully, but what made that high and what made this high was Tyson was one of the biggest stars in the world at this point. Mm-hmm. And his volatility was known. He was known to be able to snap. And so for him to, Austin to flip him off and him to shove Austin that hard, it's something that you would believe Mike Tyson would do.
Exactly, and legit, he could have, if Mike wasn't, understanding that this is a work, Mike could have, we've seen what happens when Mike blacks out. He's bitten Holyfield's ear. If Mike wasn't in the right frame of mind, WrestleMania 14 might not have happened.
Well, I love the stories, Austin talking back on his podcast that Vince McMahon had talked to him about, what if we strap a pair of gloves on you? And he's like, I'm not boxing Mike Tyson. And he's like, I would get killed. And so, Tyson had so much attention around him. Him pushing Austin and Austin trying to go at him, breaks into, basically everybody from the WWE that was in the ring, everybody with Tyson's entourage trying to pull the two of them apart. Mm-hmm. McMahon screaming at him, you ruined it. And it just had you on the edge of your seat. And WWE got what they needed because every media outlet was carrying this and showing the highlights of it.
And I remember, even Bischoff, once he saw this, he was like, oh crap.
Yeah, he said at that moment he knew they were in trouble.
Yeah, because you have, the biggest pay-per-view draws ever. One of the top boxers ever, and he's mingling with the top star in WWF, and Mike Tyson is if Tyson had legit knocked Stone Cold out, ratings would have gone through the roof. So there was really no way WWF could lose in that situation.
Yeah, and this is the moment that hooked me. This is the moment that got me fully back in, and I was hooked, and Raw became a must-watch show for me.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, this was a moment that really got me to tune back into Raw too, because by 1998, Nitro was really kind of starting to wane, was starting to get kind of old, but WWF, the stuff that they were doing, with stuff like this, it was, I mean, it made you wonder, it's like, what are they going to do next?
Yeah. And I have to say, like, you know, we've heard Vince Russo say before that if you stay true to the character, true to what that character would be, that the storylines come naturally, they feel real, and it's easier to engage people. And this is a key example of that. I mean, it was true to Mike Tyson, it was true to Steve Austin, and it left with still one of the most memorable moments of Monday Night Raw.
Right, and it also helped build to the Austin McMahon feud, which we know was a huge part of the Attitude Era. I actually watched a clip this afternoon of, like, I think it may have been the Monday Night Raw after this, where Stone Cold took Raw hostage because he was mad that Vince McMahon was kissing Mike Tyson's ass so much, and he's holding Raw hostage, and he rips Vince's jacket, and I mean, I'm watching this, and I'm like, damn, Stone Cold cusses a lot. I didn't realize it back then, but damn, he cussed a lot, man.
Yeah, and that was all part of leading to our next moment, which was once again bringing Tyson back, and this time putting him face to face with the current WWE champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And in this moment, the show starts with DX saying they're going to call Mike Tyson out, letting everyone know, like, hey, get ready to tune in the channels, we're calling Tyson out. Shawn Michaels gets face to face with Mike Tyson, calls him out, says, you know, I'm not Stone Cold, I'm not here to disrespect you, I'm here to call you out face to face, man to man. Tyson tells him, you get your people out of here, I'll get my people out of here, and we'll do this. Crowd's going crazy, they get face to face, kind of shoving each other. All of a sudden, Michaels rips off Tyson's shirt, reveals he's part of D-Generation X.
Like, just great, because you think that, again, you got Mike Tyson, he's volatile. I mean, dude, he was a little loco. So, again, anything that happens is going to be good for WWF. If he, like, walked out there, said banana, 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 and walked out, ESPN will show that. So you're getting exposure on you're getting more exposure. But to align him with D-Generation X, I mean, because Mike Tyson was a natural heel at this point.
Right. Yeah, most people were still upset at him about the ear bite of Evander Holyfield. And so when he was brought in as a babyface, there was a lot of people that were booing him in the crowd. And so this swerve to turn him heel just played right into that.
And that's what WWF does. It's like, or WWE, or WWF at the time, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But that's what they do. It's like, you listen to how the crowd is reacting, and you go with it. Instead of trying to force them, babyface. It's like, Mike Tyson's a heel. I mean, it's like, and again, even going back further, I mean, people were still mad probably about his conviction, and I mean, even the Robin Gibbons stuff, people were probably still mad about. Let's just put that out there. So people wanted to boo this guy, so why not give him a reason?
And then this did the same thing as the Austin thing, got media coverage everywhere, all over the newspapers, and they were full steam ahead going into WrestleMania 14. And these were two pivotal moments in turning around the Monday Night War and breaking the 83-week streak.
Yeah, I mean, and it didn't break it right away, but you started to see the momentum, because, I mean, even Russo has said it himself. I mean, and if you listen to anybody, it's like, it takes a while to turn things around. Things like this don't happen instantly. You have to give people time, and this is one of those things. This is another one of those things that you do to help get people to flip the channel over.
So our next moment, Mankind Undertaker. June 1998, King of the Ring, Hell in a Cell. What do you remember about this?
I just remember JR's call. Did he say he was dead, broken in half? I mean, he probably said...
Good God, they killed him.
Yeah, good God, they killed him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I think it was good God they killed him. By God, as God is my witness, they've broken him in half or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty much what I'm thinking. And this is a moment that, looking back on it, it just shows, it's like, how bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, I mean, Mick Foley wanted to be a star, and it's like, he was willing to do that to become a star. And Undertaker, who had a broken foot at the time, which we found out through watching like the network special because it was a 20-year anniversary, I mean, he finds a way to climb to the top of the cage to even do this spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, what are you willing to go through to turn this ship around?
Yeah, and in their defense, the only other Hell in a Cell before this, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, had stolen the show, was match of the year. You had so many people talking about it that, Mick Foley said that when he sat down with Terry Funk to watch that first Hell in a Cell, when it ended, because they were trying to figure out how could they outdo it, and it ends, and Terry Funk was like, I don't know, Cactus, that was a great match. And both of them were kind of speechless for a minute of, how do we touch what Shawn Michaels just did? And Terry Funk goes out, what if you started from the top?
Yeah, and that's so unique to, I mean, how many other cage matches have ever started from the top, or up to that point it even started from the top?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to be a special kind of crazy to climb to the top of that, and they were definitely that special kind of crazy. And at this point, I don't think they really even had much. I don't think they had a feud going in storyline, but it just
it was just kind of thrown together.
Yeah, it was kind of just thrown together, but they made something out. They made magic out of it.
Right, and it's almost hard to put into words.
It is.
I mean, it's now, it's been replayed so many times that people have almost become numb to it. They know it's happened. They've seen it so many times, but when it first happened, to watch it live, it's hard to put into words that feeling of when you saw him fly off the cell, crash through the table, and then later crash through the cell into the ring. I mean, just both of those moments, I remember just kind of sitting speechless watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch it live. I mean, again, I was just trying to think, 1998 was just kind of a blur. But just to think about the fact that, I mean, they're trying to stretch him out, and he walks back to the ring and
climbs up with a dislocated shoulder.
And it's like, and the crowd is giving him this respect, and then again, it just goes back to, this guy is literally putting his life on the line to entertain us as fans and to help to win this war that you're in, this Monday Night War. And wasn't it Kevin Sullivan that said that once he saw that moment, it was like, it was game over?
Yep. So the next one, kind of going down the path of leading up towards WrestleMania 15, Stone Cold Steve Austin driving the beer truck to the ring and hosing down Vince and Shane McMahon and the WWE champion at the time, The Rock.
Man, Stone Cold, what didn't this dude drive? I mean, this dude, he drove cement trucks, Zambonis.
He drove a hearse out.
A hearse.
And opened up a casket full of Steve Weisers.
A casket full of Steve Weisers, a monster truck running over The Rock's car, and I mean, and then this beer truck. And I also remember the promo that he cut on top of the truck.
That he was going to check himself into the SmackDown hotel right into room 316 and burn it to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, it was just such great stuff. And you have, at this point, these were the two biggest stars in business, Stone Cold and The Rock.
And arguably two of the greatest talkers ever.
Yeah, and this was, I mean, at this point, if you listen to both of them talk, they weren't really, weren't really too familiar with each other. They'd had some matches, but they didn't know each other as well as they would get to know each other through the years. But you could, I mean, this was magic.
Yeah. And this was that, you mentioned that Austin promo before this. You know, The Rock had really kind of come into his own in terms of his catchphrases that he was using.
Right.
They were all still kind of unique, starting after Survivor Series and kind of building up. And for Austin come out to cut a promo and pretty much capture all of The Rock's catchphrases and use them against The Rock and then put his own 316 spin on it. I mean, that was the icing on the cake that made WrestleMania 15 like, this is going to be an amazing match.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be good. And I also remember from this McMahon swimming in the ring.
Yes, yeah, and it's like, you know, this wasn't a match. This, you know, was just such a memorable moment on Raw that you're never going to forget anything like this.
Nah, you won't.
So, our next one, speaking of, you kind of mentioned this a minute ago, Austin driving the Zamboni to the ring.
I mean, first of all, I remember these Miller Lite commercials brought to you by Dick. I mean, just those. I mean, I just remember that every time I saw that, it just cracks me up. And this was a night. This was the night after. Was it Over the Edge?
Breakdown.
Where Mankind, Kane and Undertaker are both pinned Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
So Vince McMahon's in the ring about to give this presentation, and all of a sudden they go backstage and you see Stone Cold driving the Zamboni, and I just remember the crowd just exploded.
Yeah, and what's great is on the network, you hear what happened. But watching live that night, it went silent. Like, the music hits, they see on the Tron, he's driving the Zamboni. But right here, you can see the cord around the tires. He knocked out the sound to the cameras. And so, pretty much this whole sequence happened in silence for watching at home live. And, you know, so now on the network, they've added back in what actually happened during that time. But you can still hear when it gets past this point, them acknowledging, like, he took out the sound, you know, da-da-da. And so when the sound had came back. But I remember sitting, watching it live at the time and just, it was in silence, and it was like, what's this?
Now this was one I saw live, and when he jumps off the Zamboni, the crowd, I just laughed so hard because it was just, I mean, this is just a crazy dude.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is nuts.
Yeah, and you can kind of see, you know, what you're talking about, you know, just from the number of arms and signs in the air in the background. I mean, Austin was at another level.
Yeah.
In terms of popularity, and for him to continue to have great moments like this just made him that guy that just popped the audience every time.
Right. It's like, who does that? Who drives a Zamboni to the ring?
So, back to another Stone Cold moment. We're around the same time period now, where after Judgment Day, the following pay-per-view, Mr. McMahon is in the hospital and gets attacked by Dr. Austin.
I just remember, like, I think they had just taken, like, his blood pressure or something, and he's hooked up to all this stuff, and all of a sudden you hear, "Oh no, I'll take it from here, nurse." And then it's like, wait a minute. And then he jumps to him, and, I mean, when he hits, I mean, this right here, this moment.
Yeah, the bedpan shot to the head. I mean, just.
And I mean, I've watched the Stone Cold DVD, and he talks about how, like, he just went to town on him, basically. I mean, it was a stiff shot, and then he says, "I always knew he was full of crap," and then he shoves the, you know.
What's funny is, this scene also was a scene that produced Mr. Sacco.
Yep.
And so, the McMahon in the hospital, he had Mr. Sacco produced. The bedpan is one of the most memorable moments. But another great thing in there was just as they continued to show the character of Mr. McMahon, when he's like yelling at the nurse over that type of juice she gives him.
Yeah, that's very Mr. McMahon. Very, what's the word? Just snobbish, I guess.
Yeah, it was just that alone, that's kind of overlooked because you had such other big moments in that scene, but just that scene alone was funny as well.
Yeah. Dancing his tidy whities and all that.
So, the next one from SummerSlam '98 with Triple H, The Rock, and a ladder match. A ladder match that was kind of symbolic because this was both of them climbing up to the next level of their careers.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite moments because when I think about SummerSlam '98, I know Austin and The Undertaker was the main event, but in my mind, this one stole the show. Ironically, another ladder match in '94 at Madison Square Garden stole the show.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't in the main event, but you have these two guys that are in two factions that have been battling, and they're both trying to get to that next level, and neither one of them was like really a fan of heights and weren't going to do a whole bunch of like luchador type stuff off the ladder, but they found a way to have a ladder match that was just phenomenal. And this is the match for me that I'm like, okay, I'm with The Rock.
Yeah, so we know from here, The Rock goes on to become the man.
Right.
But Triple H is actually the winner of this match, but he gets injured in it, and he's going to go out for a while because of his knee, to get his knee worked on. So I had always wondered, had he not got injured, would Triple H have gotten to the top of the mountain quicker?
I don't think so, only because if you listen to the crowd that night, when Rock dropped the people's elbow and they started chanting Rocky, I was like, this dude is made. Because technically he's the heel in this match, but he like drops the people. I think Triple H is on the ladder when he drops the people's elbow on him. And the way they reacted when he went to toss the elbow pad, I was like, this dude is made right here. This moment just made him. Once he dropped the elbow and they started chanting Rocky, 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 I'm like, yep.
So you think Triple H would have spent more time as Intercontinental Champion?
I think he would have, but I still think he was. There's no doubt he was going to get there, and I just think that really the only thing that I think it was just the injury. I mean, even coming out of this, both of them were still on that path.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had always wondered if had Triple H not got hurt, would he have been the guy battling with The Rock leading into from Survivor Series going towards WrestleMania of that year, going back and forth with the title before Austin gets his rematch at WrestleMania?
I thought about that, and
or title shot at WrestleMania. I guess
I thought about that, but I just think about, DX was just hot as a group, not just hot as a group. DX was hot as a group, and Triple H was like the biggest part of that. I mean, with the Nation, The Rock, you could see him like he was overshadowing the Nation so much at this point. And the crowd was getting so hot behind everything that he did. And for him to have this moment at the Garden, it's like, you gotta do something. It's like, the people were ready for him.
And then, Mankind, Mick Foley, wins his first championship from The Rock.
Butts in the seats.
Yes, yeah. The famous call, which, everyone knows, Eric Bischoff had it fed to Tony Schiavone, of saying that this was going to happen on Monday Night Raw, that, announcing Mankind, Mick Foley used to be here as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title. Yeah, that'll put some butts in the seats. And 400,000 people turned the channel.
Yeah. And I don't remember if I watched, I know I was flipping back and forth because Nitro was supposed to be, I mean, it was like the first episode of each show for the year, and I just remember just how hot the crowd was, and not to take anything away from Mankind winning this title, but when that glass broke, I don't know, I mean, I've heard the glass break in person, and I don't know if, I heard the glass break in a stadium of like 70,000 people. I don't think it was louder than that night when the glass broke.
Yeah, and in this time frame, like 99, because I remember going to a pay-per-view in 99 and on Monday Night Raw, I think in 98, and when the glass would break during that time frame, there wasn't a person in those arenas who didn't immediately just spring to their feet,
Right.
because it was that big. And so, you know, Mankind going for the title against The Rock, the glass breaks, Austin comes out, lays The Rock out with the chair, puts Mankind on there, Mankind gets the title. Nitro was having a huge night in terms of what they were going to put on the air, and they were live. But that one announcement by Tony Schiavone pulled 400,000 viewers away from Nitro to tune into Monday Night Raw.
And in honesty, he kind of did them a favor based on what was going on the other channel, which was the finger poke of doom, which we'll talk about probably on another episode. But I mean, just think about everything that was going around. You had the corporation, you had DX out there, Triple H is out there, you got The Rock, Mankind, you involved Mr. McMahon, you got Stone Cold, you got Mankind, you got basically every one of your major stars is involved at this point, with the exception of maybe Taker, who wasn't involved in this angle at all. But these main events are what made WWE start to win the war.
And to get someone to watch something that they already know the outcome of, is just a testament to how much people respected Mick Foley.
Yeah, I mean, like, even this week when DVR SmackDown and I heard that Daniel Bryan won the title, SmackDown was a great show, and I'm like, I want to see the title change.
Yeah, same with me. I wasn't able to watch SmackDown Live this week, but I had a DVR, and when I saw that Daniel Bryan won against AJ Styles, I moved in to watch that match.
Yeah.
Next moment, the DX presidential type address, the State of the Union, where DX acknowledges the complaints that the WWE is receiving about their attitude, about their behavior from the USA Network, where the USA Network was starting to threaten to take WWE off the air.
Wow. I mean, first of all, it says some Boulevard. I forgot. I think this is a milk stout. This is not why I'm laughing. I'm just laughing thinking about how you get this serious letter. Your company gets this serious letter that they're getting threatened to be taken off the air, and you decide, okay, we're just going to take this letter and read it on the air.
And read it in a comical way, making fun of it.
Yeah.
And with the DX censorship over, we will not use the words bleep, 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 and using the DX censorship over it. And, you know, kind of ending with the joke, making fun of the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal at the time of the Oral Office and things like that.
So swallow the leader.
Yeah, so I mean, this is definitely a memorable moment, which, again, worked out to the WWE's favor as USA loved it.
Yeah.
And wanted more DX from here.
I mean, it's creativity is risky. And just the pure comedy of that moment, and just like you were saying, the bleep, 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 and I'm just wondering, like when Triple H is reading, Sean's just like, I'm just wondering, how do you keep a straight face during that? And China's face did not break during that whole time.
Yeah, talk about somebody who could play their character to perfection. China, to be around the original DX, which is something else we're going to be covering in a couple weeks. We'll be going through a full-on look at the original DX. To be around that sort of stuff and to be able to hold the straight face as she did. Now, there was a few parts where you can see her kind of start to crack a smile during that time, but for the most part, she kept that stone cold, no pun intended, killer look on her face.
Put that woman in the Hall of Fame.
So, those were our favorite Attitude Era moments. Stick around, we got another episode being loaded this week as we cover Survivor Series 98. In a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, we will be coming back and we will be looking at Mike Tyson and another episode that week as well as we look at the original D-Generation X.
And, I mean, in your comments, feel free to leave your favorite Attitude Era moments because we obviously didn't cover everything, but you may agree with us. You may have some moments that we didn't cover, but hey, give us something to go watch. Share a YouTube link or something like that. Just holler back at us.
Yeah, give us feedback. We'll keep it coming. We'll keep doing stuff like this. We know you're enjoying the Attitude Era stuff, so more Attitude Era stuff to come. A lot more over the next few months.